Hey y'all, my name's Andrea. So I wanted to get on here really quick and just share with everyone something that God had told me yesterday. So I finally watched the George Floyd video and where he got murdered by the cop. And I after watching it, I prayed and I was like, God, what's wrong with me? Because I'm not like crying like everyone else was when they watched the video. Like I should be moved and crying and things. And I was like, I must be like really emotionally like disconnected if I watch this and I'm not in like tears. And so I began to question God about that. And then he reminded me, he goes, well, you cried last week. And that's when he reminded me of May 23rd, last week on Saturday. I got off work. One of my clients had told me about how, she had several deaths in her family from the COVID-19. And, I forgot we even had that conversation, honestly. And on my way home, right before I got home, I felt really grieved and really heavy in my spirit. And I was like, what is that all about? But I knew I had to pray. So I go home, I close the door, I put on some music, I start praying and worshiping, and then I just started crying and crying and crying. And I was like, so many people are dying, and I knew there was going to be a death, and I felt this like tightness and pressure in my chest, and it felt like, like on the movies when a child is laying in the casket and then the mom goes up and she's screaming like, not my baby, not my baby, she's yelling and screaming. Like I wanted to scream like that, just scream out loud and yell, but I couldn't because I was at home. So quietly I'm just like, ah, like, and praying and crying and snotting. Like it was such an ugly cry for about 30 minutes, right? And the whole time, barely any words, just about people dying, and how unfair it was. And I was praying for family members and people that were hurt for losing people. And then afterwards, I got done. I prayed until I felt a release, until I felt like this calmness, this peacefulness. And after that, I just took a shower, because I got off from work and everything, and that was that. And I was like, I don't know what that was about, but I was even praying for my friends and my family and covering them because I was like, am I going to lose somebody? But God was telling me, he began to show me last night, like, Andrea, everyone has their thing, right? Everyone has their purpose, their assignment, what they were put on this earth to do. I wasn't put on the earth to put in policies in place and to protest and things like that. That's not me. But God created for me as an intercessor to pray and to manifest his will on the earth, right? And so I had the burden last weekend to pray about what was going to happen because I'm a prophetic intercessor. So what was going to happen like a few days from then, right? And God began to show me like, now is the time for people to be doing what they were created to do. Romans chapter 8, it talks about how the earth is groaning and moaning for God's children to take their rightful place in the earth, right? And we have assignments that God has given us, and it's time for us to do God's will and do what we were created for, what we were created to do in the earth. And so then so I was like, okay, thank you, Lord, because he also was showing me that there's people who God's going to give divine wisdom, divine knowledge to put policies and laws and things like that in order to create a permanent change. Like, what moves you when there's not a video that went viral? You know what I'm saying? What moves you when because there's racism every single day. I've experienced it, especially years ago. Like, I've experienced it in my life. Every day there's racism. Every day there's injustice. Every day, like, there's people in the Middle East who, because of their religion, they get persecuted. There's hatred and all these unfair things going on in the earth, right? And the Bible talks about in Ephesians chapter 6 how we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So our battles and things like that we fight is not like a battle that's from God. It's a battle from the enemy, and we have to fight that the way God has created us to fight it. And in order for permanent change to be manifested in the earth. So I just wanted to encourage people to just really seek God and ask him, what did he put you on this earth to do? So then you could do that, and you could do that to the best of your ability. So I love y'all, and be blessed.